Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? It's Jeff. It's a nice Sunday. Rainy here again, and not as cold as it was yesterday, but it was cold last night. I gotta say that. I had to close the windows and everything, and so get cold weather. First we was no jacket, now wearing jackets. It's Maine, you know. Okay, well, you know, I got a couple of videos here I want to play, and this first one here is Ben Mysalis, and he's talking about how India has gotten really pissed off at Trump, which is not unusual that a country's upset with him, but the reason they're upset with him is he's going around telling a lie, a big fucking lie, about how much he was involved in stopping, you know, a nuclear war that could have happened between Pakistan and India. Oh, God. I mean, the lies keep pouring out of this fucking guy. I mean, Jesus Christ. And anyway, let's just go to that and hear what this is all about.
Based on the strength of the India military, stop interfering, Donald Trump. Another reason is that Donald Trump's been misrepresenting that he has some trade deal with India that hasn't taken place. And Trump said that he basically used trade as a... India is furious at the Trump regime right now. This is not being reported at all by American media, but it is being reported in India. Let me explain to you why India is furious. There's three main reasons. Number one, Donald Trump was taking credit for brokering the ceasefire between India and Pakistan after the terrorist attacks in Kashmir. India saying Trump had nothing to do with it at all. It's strictly bilateral discussions between India and Pakistan, and India saying by Donald Trump pretending that he got involved in it, it actually makes India look weak when India said we negotiated this on our own based on the strength of the Indian military. Stop interfering, Donald Trump. Another reason is that Donald Trump's been misrepresenting that he has some trade deal with India that hasn't taken place. And Trump said that he basically used trade as a carrot to broker a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. And again, that makes India look weak. And India is saying that's not true. We don't have a deal. We're only going to do a deal that's in the interest of India. Stop lying about our negotiations and our discussions. And along those lines as well, remember Donald Trump attacked Apple, the company Apple, for saying it was going to move factories to India because Donald Trump said that, you know, that was an end run around his tariffs against China. He said, he called Tim Cook and said, don't build factories in India. So India's like, why the hell are you telling Apple not to develop factories in India? That's screwed up. And then finally, the third reason why India is absolutely pissed, and there's deeper levels of complexity here, I'm overgeneralizing it, is that the Trump family seems to have done a crypto deal with Pakistan and with the Pakistan government. And Indian officials are basically saying, is Donald Trump going to be changing his policies toward India? Is Donald Trump engaging in behavior that's pissing off the country of India right now because Trump's family, which has a 60% stake in this WLFI, this World Liberty Financial company, Is that why Donald Trump's position with India has changed? So let's break down all three of these things. And why don't we bring you directly some great reporting from India itself? And then we'll break down this kind of one by one. I want to give a shout out here to Vantage Media, show Vantage with Palki Sharma. They do a really good job here. And in this first clip I want to show you from the show, they talk about how this is India's external affairs minister saying that the negotiations regarding a ceasefire between India and Pakistan is being handled on a bilateral basis. And this host, by the way, Palki Sharma, is incredible. I mean, I think that she's a very strong host, at least here. Here, play this clip.
The amount of ignorance out there. Like we've said before, the Kashmir issue is not thousands of years old. It dates back to 1947. Also, what's this obsession with trade? Kashmir is a deeply emotional issue for India and Pakistan. You think they would settle it over trade? Pakistan may need the money, but India is under no such pressure. Today, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar made India's position clear. All dealings with Pakistan will be bilateral.
Our relations, our dealings with them will be bilateral and strictly bilateral. That is a national consensus for many years. And there is absolutely no change in that consensus that dealings with Pakistan will be bilateral.
Now here this host, Palki Sharma, as well, then talks about Donald Trump misrepresenting the trade deals with India. Let me show you this clip right here. And then she also cites the external affairs minister as well. Let me play you this clip right here.
Trump, he won't. He is known for making such wild unilateral claims. Take trade, for example. Trump says India is offering zero tariffs to America, basically no tariffs on US imports. Just one problem though, India has not announced any such move or offer. Again, the clarification came from Minister Jaishankar.
Any trade deal has to be mutually beneficial. Any trade deal has to work for both the countries. And I think that would be our expectation from the trade deal. And until that is done, I think any judgment on it would be premature.
India says any judgment would be premature, but that is not stopping Trump. He's also threatening companies against making in India, companies like Apple. Apple was thinking about setting up factories in India. Trump's tariffs made China unsustainable, so Apple thought, why not make in India? But US President Donald Trump says he will not allow it.
I had a little problem with Tim Cook yesterday. I said to him, Tim, you're my friend. I've treated you very good. You're coming in with $500 billion, but now I hear you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India. You can build in India if you want to take care of India, because India is one of the highest tariff nations in the world. It's very hard to sell into India.
In baseball, there are 3 strikes. Trump has used them up in just 1 week. First, he claimed credit for ending the fighting between India and Pakistan. Then he unilaterally claimed zero tariffs from India. Then he warned Apple against making in India. And now we get news of his family striking a deal with Pakistan, which brings me back to my original question. Whose side is Donald Trump on? Personally, we know he's on the side of money.
Now, here's what DW News has to say about these tensions between Trump and Modi right now and why India is so furious. It's along the lines of what I was saying, but here, play this clip.
Trump has claimed the role as dealmaker-in-chief after the 2 nuclear-armed neighbors came dangerously close to war when they struck each other with missiles, drones, and heavy artillery for 4 days. So what exactly did Trump say that's ruffled feathers here in Delhi?
Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop. And they have.
And Trump didn't stop there. He even claimed he prevented a nuclear war.
I think it could have been a bad nuclear war. Millions of people could have been killed, so I'm very proud of that.
That's definitely not how India tells it. Modi's government says it was Indian firepower that forced Pakistan to ask for a ceasefire on May 10th.
साथियों, पाकिस्तान की गुहार के बाद भारत ने सिर्फ अपनी सैन्य कार्रवाई को स्थगित किया है। अगर पाकिस्तान ने फिर से आतंकी गतिविधि या सैन्य दुस्साहस दिखाया तो हम उसका मुंह तोड़ जवाब देंगे।
Just to be clear, India has confirmed getting calls from US Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio right before the ceasefire. But while Pakistan later thanked Donald Trump for the truce, India doesn't acknowledge any US role. It's also pushed back on Trump's claim that trade even came up. Instead, Delhi says it won't fall for what Prime Minister Modi called nuclear blackmail from Pakistan. And it's sticking to this one line.
Let me be clear, it was the force of Indian arms that compelled Pakistan to stop its firing.
Now, let me show you what World Life Liberty posted about their deal with Pakistan's crypto council. This is from April 28th, 2025. So about 6 days after the terrorist attack in Kashmir, here's what WLFI posted. Historic moment, WLFI has officially signed an MOU with Pakistan. It was an incredible experience meeting with Pakistan Crypto Council and the leaders shaping the future of crypto. We're proud to be building with Pakistan to drive innovation forward. This is just the beginning. I'll play you about 30 seconds of this hype video, but mind you, the Trump family has a 60% stake in this WLFI as it's been reported. Play this clip.
It's an absolute pleasure to have all three of you today in Pakistan. We were in Islamabad earlier and now in Lahore. Tell me, how has Pakistan been for you?
They want to participate in the digital financial ecosystem. They want to participate in what the future of finance looks like. And you really have to come here to see it. And we thank you and, of course, all of your country mates for their hospitality. It's been nothing short of excellent.
Now, let me flesh out some of these clips as well that has really made India furious. I mean, and you've seen him there in those other clips that I played for you. But here's Donald Trump on his most recent interview with Brett Baer saying that everyone knows that without me, the N-word would have been in place. The N-word, Donald Trump says over and over again, which Donald Trump says the N-word means nuclear. And here's kind of him saying that with Brett Baer. Here, play this.
It was tit for tat. And it was getting deeper and more, more missiles. Everyone was stronger. To a point where the next one's going to be, you know what, the N-word. You know what the N-word is, right?
Nuclear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
I figured you'd want to clean that up. No, it's the N-word. That's a very nasty word, right? In a lot of ways. The N-word used in a nuclear sense, that's the worst thing that can happen. And I think
now, this was Donald Trump giving a speech from the Oval Office where he falsely took credit for brokering the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. And as I just showed you before with the foreign minister, Donald Trump had no role in this ceasefire really at all. Here, play this.
the strength and the wisdom and fortitude to fully know and to understand the gravity of the situation. And we helped a lot. And we helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop. And they have. And they did it for a lot of reasons. But trade is a big one. We're going to do a lot of trade with Pakistan. We're going to do a lot of trade with India. We're negotiating with India right now. We're going to be soon negotiating with Pakistan. And we stopped the nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war. Millions of people could have been killed. So I'm very proud of that.
And this was Donald Trump, what he said about Tim Cook. Let me play this.
Apple, as you know, is coming in. And I had a little problem with Tim Cook yesterday. I said to him, Tim, you're my friend. I treated you very good. You're coming in with $500 billion, but now I hear you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India. You can build in India if you want to take care of India, because India is one of the highest tariff nations in the world. It's very hard to sell into India. And they've offered us a deal where basically they're willing to literally charge us no tariff. So we go from the highest tariff, you couldn't do business in India. We're not even a top 30 in India because the tariff is so high, to a point where they have actually told us, I assume you too, Scott, you were working on that also, that there will be no tariff, right? Would you say that's a difference? They're the highest, and now they're saying no tariff. But I said to Tim, Tim, look, we've treated you really good. We put up with all the plants that you built in China.
So I think you can see why India would be absolutely livid and pissed about this. And again, this is being reported by media in India and elsewhere in international media, but not being reported in the United States. And I think it's an important factor for you to see how, one, people viewed Trump internationally as this clown, as this person who's just focused on himself and putting his interests above, above even the United States. Anyway, let me just conclude this video by saying I think it's why it's so important that we have an international perspective of things and we keep you posted at every step of the way. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
Yeah. Pretty ridiculous. And this morning I was looking at today's news this morning, and it was saying that Trump is telling Walmart not to raise their prices, and Target as well, ostensibly, but he's telling these stores not to raise their prices, that they should absorb the tariffs and pay the tariffs and not pass that cost on to the consumer. Okay, like they take their orders from you, Trump? I'm sorry, but I thought private business did not like government telling them how to run their fucking business, and now Trump wants to run private businesses now. He wants to tell them where they should, how they should operate their companies. Okay, that's something else that Republicans don't like but won't say anything about because, hey, they used to get mad at Democrats for trying to dictate what corporations can do in this country, and now you got a man, the president, directly telling Walmart and all them how to operate their businesses, and MAGA's all quiet. And he's mad at Apple because they want to move their company, their operations in another country, and he's mad at them. Amazon done the same. I mean, or at least they're in the process of doing that. They're moving to a different location. All this in lieu of all the fucking tariffs. They're trying to avoid the tariffs, and it's forcing companies to have to, think globally, to go outside the United States in order to circumvent those tariffs. They don't want to pay that. And if they don't want to pay these tariffs, you're not going to make them pay it. Okay? I'm sorry. What's Trump going to do? Send ICE after them and deport the CEOs? I mean, come on. Think about how stupid he's behaving here. And the thing there that he obviously thinks that he's something, that he's a better leader than than he is. A narcissist, total narcissist. Okay, he lies about making achievements, and then he's proud of having told those lies. Okay, and the fact that he says there was a nuclear war imminent between those two countries, Pakistan and India, is a total fucking lie. It wasn't coming to that. All right, the war was being fought conventionally, but there was no threat of a nuclear exchange of any kind. That's an exaggeration of the truth. He knows this, and he's trying to lie and say he stopped it, which he didn't. I mean, how the hell would he remember anything anyway? He's asleep most of the time, or he's out playing golf, one or the other. He doesn't fucking he doesn't do anything. So, I doubt he takes any time at all about doing anything internationally. I mean, he's flown to Saudi Arabia just so he could broker a deal with them and he can get a free 747. Okay. And the fact that, the United States media isn't really talking much about this only shows that the media is getting sick and tired of his lies. They know he's lying. All right? So why get everybody all worked up over another thing that Trump said that's already been fact-checked and proven that's wrong, okay? You got the Prime Minister of India himself come out and say Trump's fucking lying. All right? So when you got that, I mean, how the hell can, the media isn't going to run with that story? I mean, if well, we'll just leave that to but I just wonder, why does he keep lying about what other people say and do? Because things like this can be fact-checked. I mean, we live in the age of the internet here. We can grab news from any outside source. We can grab all kinds of shit from, other countries, other media outlets in other parts of the world to find out what was done. Okay? We don't have to rely on the United States. And so Trump lying about, oh, he said this, he said that, and then, and you fact check, takes you about 5 minutes to find out, okay, then he's lied. So when people keep doing this, it makes the media look bad because they're not doing it when they should be. Instead of reporting what Trump said, they need to report what was really said, okay, between Trump and India or whatever. They ought to do that just to overlap what Trump's been saying. In other words, prove he's been lying. Okay, that's the job of the media, as far as I can see. Because right now, if you're not telling people the truth, okay, if you're not saying anything, I mean, you're basically letting the lie go on. You're part of the problem. If you're not pointing out this fucking hypocrisy, if you're not doing the job of educating the public to let them know what is fact and what is fiction, you might as well not even be a journalist, as far as I'm concerned. You might as well just stay home, okay? Because it'd be just about the same thing. So, like I said, that puts the burden of educating the public on the rest of us, and that means anybody that like people from other countries, the media in other countries, and people in the United States who have their internet shows and stuff like that, disseminating the facts. We're slowly working circles around the media, the mainstream media, if you will. We're working circles around the mainstream media because they don't know where to take a shit, basically. They're afraid of Trump, but then they're caught between a rock and a hard place where they got to tell the truth or kiss Trump's ass. I guess I'd have to be somebody that's a member of one of these media outlets in order to understand why that is. Okay, what's the fucking downside to telling the truth to the people? Really? Is it that we don't have courage anymore in this country to stand up to what's wrong? Whatever happened to that American-centric? I mean, if we had World War II today, would anybody try to fight Hitler? Or would we all sit and hide in our corners? Because that's essentially what the attitude I'm getting now, is that people are too chicken shit to stand up to Trump and what he's doing. When he does wrong, it should be called out by everyone. Okay? And other countries are seeing a very big vacuum left here as far as, why isn't your media talking about this? Why hasn't the story evolved? The rest of the world is seeing our media just asleep at the wheel, and they're letting propaganda dictate what's put out there. Okay? The rest of the world sees what's happening, and they're right to point it out. But I'm glad that India had called out Trump's bullshit. Somebody had to. I mean, these leaders do not want their name linked to Trump in any fucking way. So I mean, it's okay. The only people that don't mind Trump so much are the dictators. Okay, that he chums around with. I mean, they don't mind him. Birds of a feather, But I feel like, this is just more examples of why Democrats have pretty much closed the book on Trump by saying, hey, from now on, whenever he talks, we're not going to believe a damn thing he says, okay? And right now, he's got a lot of people in this country pissed off at him. And not really just in this country. I had read that Ontario, Canada, okay? Honda was supposed to build 4 new factories, manufacturing plants, and a battery plant with facilities for cathode active materials and separators. Okay, the whole thing was supposed to cost over $15 billion. That was a big investment that they were going to do. This was made while Biden was still president. Okay, now, because of Trump's tariffs and everything, they put that big project on hold for at least 3 more years. Why do you think 3 years? Okay, it's obvious why they're putting it on hold for 3 years. Okay, they're waiting for Trump to serve out his term here, and then after that, maybe it'll be a better time to build these places and stuff like that. But you know, the tariffs are impeding what's going on. Now, I also read, and I haven't followed up on it yet, that there are problems with Alaska being sort of caught in the middle. If you picture Alaska, the state, it sits at the edge of Canada, but it's also cut off from, you know, the other states, right? You know, it sits like on its own little, it's like its own little country up in Canada, okay? But there's no direct connection to the rest of the states. Okay, you have to cross into Canada. If you're going to drive here, you're going to have to cross through Canada to get into Washington State, okay, and then Oregon, and you know, yada yada. Okay, so the fact that they're sort of their state relies a lot on Canadian trade, and you know, and they're sort of caught in a rock and a hard place right now because, you know, with that tariff in place and stuff, it's that state's going to struggle harder than most because you know, a lot of things that they get have to go through Canada. Okay. All right. Now, somebody had suggested that maybe they wish they should just switch over to ships, you know, kind of go from Alaska to the ports on the West Coast, you know, to get around the tariffs. I don't know. I guess that would work. But I'm not so sure how extensive their shipping system is in that state. But I'm sure it's something they're considering. But I can't see that, you know, Alaska is really in a good position here. I mean, you know, where the rest of the country, the states are all connected, you know, basically in one form or another. But Alaska is not, and it's just they're really scratching their heads up there what to do, you know. And that's something that they're not really talking a lot of, and they ought to, really, because this is a perfect example of how the tariffs can influence a whole state, you know, and not just the country, but can affect the state. And I don't know, you know, what can be done, you know, for people living in that state, but it's certainly going to affect, you know, their stores and supplies and stuff like that until till the governor comes up with some kind of an answer there for that. But you know, it's, you know, I have family that live in that state, and I haven't spoken to them about anything about this since this tariff shit started. But maybe I ought to. But I'm sure the talk is, you know, up there is pretty busy. Okay. But yes, Trump is redrawing the fucking map here when it comes to these tariffs. He's changing what is. And not really for the whole world, but just for the United States. The rest of the world doesn't have to do business with the United States if they choose not to. Okay? Think about that for a minute. Because America makes nothing anyway. So nobody's been buying anything from us. Okay? So having the United States out of the market system is like, okay, all right, goodbye. You know, it's like you weren't even here anyway to contribute anything. You got rid of all your factories. I mean, you're heavily reliant on us feeding you. Okay, you know, it's like, you know, what fucking leverage do you have to force the rest of the world to capitulate to your little tariffs? Okay, you have none. All right, it's like if we had no nuclear weapons and we were going to threaten Russia, or one of these other countries with nukes. Okay, what's our leverage? You know, same thing. And you know, for Trump to just by default cut this country off from the rest of the world isn't going to hurt the rest of the world, but it's going to definitely hurt us. It's definitely going to hurt us more. And we'll find out just how bad as time goes on. I've been seeing a lot of videos being put up from truck drivers. These people are losing their trucks. You know, the ones that own their own trucks, you know. They could sell them. They have to sell them because they're not making any money, and they need the money. Okay. And some of these are early retiring, and you know, because the ports are empty, you know, when there ain't no ships coming in with supplies and goods, and the stores that you know are like Walmart, they know this, and that's why they're going to be raising prices. There's nothing they can do about it. I mean, you can't blame the stores for that, right? I mean, they got expenses that they got to pay. They might even be laying off workers. You know, this is how one fucking order, tariffs, can disrupt the entire fucking nation. That's why a person who runs for the office of the presidency has to be aware that his mouth can change directions, okay? A misspoke word here or there, an order given here or there, could undo the balance of things. And only a smart person would look at the job as a serious thing, not as a playground, you know, to build your sandcastles in, okay? And that's how Trump has been treating his job in the White House, is like a kid in a playground. You know, the government is this toy, and he's going to do what he wants with it. You'll break it, you know, and cry, and then, you know, somebody will fix it, and you know what I'm saying? This is how he's got this unprofessional, cavalier attitude, like it's just something that doesn't affect anybody. The government doesn't do anything, okay, to anybody. He can run it any way he wants, like his own personal business. If he wants to crater it, so be it. He's done it six times before. Number 7's on the horizon, okay? He don't care. Nothing matters to this guy, okay? Nothing. And so if he wrecks the country, that's like, well, okay, yeah, wasn't a good idea. You think he's going to care about all the hungry people out on the streets and the jobless folks and the home? No. He'll just drive right on by or fly over their heads with his new airplane. Okay? You people think you're going to hold him accountable for the mistakes he made? No, this is a guy who basically is, who has been showing us just how untouchable he can be. And the only reason he's been untouchable, and make no mistake about this, is because of you and me. We haven't held him accountable for a fucking thing that he's ever done in his life. We have a chance to change that if the government could grow a spine. All right? You know what I'm saying? We have to pressure the government to do the right thing. And that's to get rid of Trump, because he's not doing his job. He's fucking around with it. He's using it like a toy, like it's a hobby of his, okay? He can smash it whenever he wants or rebuild it whenever he wants. That's the way he looks at it. The political system is not something that's serious to him. Only making money means anything to him, okay? And that's what he's been doing since he got in here, is trying to make deals to make money for himself, okay? Himself. Not for you or me or anybody you know, but only himself, you know? And, you know, the longer we sit quiet and not say anything about it, you know, the worse things are going to get. Now, I'm not saying that people are all quiet. I mean, there are protesters and stuff like that. Are they also bugging the shit out of their representatives? You know, call these people, hound them, email them to death, just pepper the shit out of them, and don't let up. Don't fucking let up, because you know, you got to be. It has to be a mass thing. where it's like a fucking tsunami coming in on the White House. I mean, that's basically how it's got to be. All right, when you got 350 odd million Americans, you know, pestering and pounding the shit out of DC every day with complaints and all that. I mean, look, sooner or later something's got to give, right? Sooner or later something's got to give. I hope it's sooner rather than later, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to wait. All right, let's go to commercial break. We'll come back with the second part here.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me. At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Well, look, you know, the salary of Congress has been frozen since 2009. You know, when you adjust for inflation, a member of Congress today is making 31% less than they made in that year.
Don't piss me off, Mike. I'm literally hanging by a thread here. Can someone tell me if there's a section in the Bible discussing having the audacity? For those of you that don't know, what Mike Johnson is trying to do here is convince the American people that it's okay for members of Congress to trade stocks. Mike, when was the last time the federal minimum wage was raised? 2009. And have you adjusted for inflation for us too? Or do you only use that little calculator for you guys? But I gotta say, I really appreciated the comedic relief there towards the end where you said that if Congress people aren't compensated for the work that they do, we're gonna get less qualified people. You mean less qualified than we already have right now? What's less qualified than that? Fucking squirrels? I don't know. But if my memory serves me correct, you guys make over $174,000 a year. And according to your new little tax bill, right? The one that doesn't have no tax on overtime. What it does have is you being able to deduct your overtime during tax season. Your overtime taxes will still be taken out, but only for people who make under $160,000 a year. Because what do you guys in Congress, right? What do you guys in Congress consider people who make over $160,000 a year? You call them highly compensated employees. And guess where that leaves y'all? Highly compensated. Now, the issue isn't people in Congress having stocks, right? The issue is people in Congress having information about stocks or being able to pass bills that can affect certain stocks. That's what makes it unfair. Insider trading, insider information, like y'all out here doing what Martha Stewart went to prison for every day. And you're trying to convince us that somehow you should be allowed to do that? And try to gain our sympathy for woe is me for the people in Congress not making enough money? But if you guys in Congress are truly struggling, I have some advice, right? Just cut out the Starbucks, right? Cancel your Netflix subscription. Eat in, cook more at home. No more fancy dinners. Just cut that stuff out and you'll be fine. And you'll be able to afford everything in the world, right? That's what you guys tell us. Sacrifices. Anyways, bye.
thought I'd just get head spins. Not nicotine poisoning.
Oh my god. His vape taped. I wanted to be social. I didn't want the addiction that took over.
I thought it was just a bit of fun, but not being able to breathe because of lung damage is definitely not fun.
It's proven that vapes cause real harm. Every vape is a hit to your health. For more proof, search vaping harms.
After my husband tried the salt trick, I let him come in through the back door, and it was amazing. My plumber was over 60, but he left me with limp legs for 2 hours after doing that dirty trick you taught me. That's what my friend told me. Can you believe it? Don't drink salt water before bed unless you want to stay hard all night and make your wife spray like a fire hydrant. Yes, salt. Discovered by Harvard scientists, this 15-second trick has been proven to increase blood flow to the little guy by 342% in over 100,000 men. Forget pills, Kegels, and pumps that only cause embarrassment. This salt trick is natural, easy, discreet, and helps any man be ready whenever needed. As hard as a rock. Your only task will be to use this trick for just 15 seconds in the bathroom and watch the magic happen. It might sound strange, but I'm sure your wife or girlfriend will thank you for this. So pay attention, go to the kitchen and grab some salt. Here's the secret. Adult film stars have been using this trick for years. That's why they're always ready for 2, 3, or even 4 shoots in a row. And now you can too. It doesn't matter if you're 25 or over 60, the famous morning wood will be inevitable. Want to know how it works? I'll show you how to do it the right way. I recorded a free, uncensored, and very satisfying video at home. However, it will only be online today and only for the smartest. If you're ready, click the link in the description or the pinned comment and see for yourself. You'll thank me for this, but make sure to watch with headphones. As I mentioned, the video is uncensored and shows exactly how this trick works to make your partner as hard as a rock.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
People. All right, so the second video I have comes from Fair and Balanced, and it's about Kid Rock. And he's I guess, well, he doesn't personally manage these fucking restaurants he's got here, but he's going to shut down his restaurant in fear of ICE raids because the people that are employed there are immigrants, you know, illegal immigrants, I guess. And he's trying to shut that down. So let's go to the video here, and we'll discuss that on the other side here.
Kid Rock's restaurant in Nashville, which is a redneck-themed steakhouse called Kid Rock's Big-Ass Honky-Tonk Rock and Roll Steakhouse, because, you know, it's good to have a name of a business that people can't say in a single breath. But anyway, his restaurant was forced to shut down last Saturday evening over the threat of ICE raids, taking away their entire kitchen staff. Now, before I tell you that story, let me remind you of something that also happened this past week. This week, the Trump administration formally charged Judge Hannah Dugan, that judge from Wisconsin that told an undocumented person to leave through the jury door. They officially charged her with obstruction and hiding an undocumented person so that they could not be arrested and deported. All because the judge ordered the man to go through a different door. And by the way, on the other side of that door, federal agents were there. They just didn't arrest him at that time. They waited till he went outside and ran, then they got him. But she was formally charged, and they will be moving forward with a prosecution. Now, I tell you that to tell you the rest of this story. Kid Rock owns Kid Rock's big-ass redneck piece of garbage, or whatever the name is. But he has a co-owner. Co-owner is a man by the name of Steve Smith. Now, Steve Smith is a major Trump donor, a huge Trump supporter, and he also owns two other restaurants called The Diner and Honky Tonk Central in Nashville. And both of those restaurants also shut down last Saturday because, wouldn't you know it, they've got a bunch of undocumented people working for them. And they didn't want their workers to get deported, so just like at Kid Rock's restaurant, they sent them home. These people, and I will tell you right now, I don't think Kid Rock was involved in this decision at all. However, as the owner, he bears all of the responsibility. These undocumented workers were told by their managers, ICE is coming through soon, get the hell out of here. Leave through that door. Yet, remarkably, there haven't been any criminal charges. These Trump supporters, Kid Rock and Steve Smith, gave money to Trump. Kid Rock has already shown up in the White House once this year, in the Oval Office. Their businesses hiring undocumented people they clearly knew were undocumented, telling them to get out of here quick because ICE is on the way. How is that not obstruction? How is that not hiding people from ICE? You knew ICE was coming. You knew they were undocumented. You told them to get out so they wouldn't be arrested. Why are criminal charges not coming against Kid Rock, Steve Smith, and all of the managers involved in the hiring and the hiding? Because that should be twofold. Not just the ones telling them to leave, but the ones who hired them. And as the owners, Steve Smith and Kid Rock also bear responsibility for this. You are the owners, so you therefore assume all of the liability. Judge Hannah Dugan got charged for far less than what these people did this past weekend. Now, here's the thing. I don't want these people arrested. I absolutely do not. I do not want them rounded up. I do not want them raided. I do not want them arrested. And I do not want them deported. They are providing a crucial service, a service that even Trump supporters understand is necessary. Right, these are people who backed Donald Trump, knew about his mass deportations, gave him money anyway, and then they shit their pants when they realize, oh no, I'm going to be affected because all of my workers are gone. That's what happened. But you did this. And if this administration were actually serious about cracking down on illegal immigration, they wouldn't be going after the immigrants, they would be going after the businesses that hire them. But they're not going to do that because these businesses who are violating the law by hiring these people, by the way, they are breaking the law. They give money to Trump. The food industry, the agriculture industry that hires undocumented people, they give money to Trump and Republicans. So, of course, the business owners who are bringing these undocumented people in, they're not going to be held responsible. Where are the goddamn Republicans on that, huh? Where's your Republican talking heads who hate immigrants so much talking about the businesses? The people like Kid Rock and Steve Smith. Why are you not outraged at these people doing this, and why are you not outraged that they're not being held responsible? Because do you know what would happen? Suppose ICE did show up and they took all of those kitchen workers away. Do you know what those managers would eventually do? They'd just bring in more. They would just find more. That's what they would do. They would continue the cycle. And it's a cycle, by the way, that's not only illegal, so conservatives should be up in arms about that. It's a cycle that exploits these people for cheap labor. Because these managers, whatever industry it is, they understand that you can bring these people in, they're undocumented, you can hire them, and guess what? Because they're undocumented, because they're here illegally, they can't put up a fight when you don't pay them minimum wage. They can't put up a fight when they get injured at work. You can use and abuse and screw them over so hard, and they can't do anything about it. Because if they do, if they raise a stink, if they go to law enforcement, they'll be the ones getting deported. That's why they do this. So these workers are being taken advantage of. They're being made to be, the bad guy in the story by Trump. But the real bad guys are the people like Steve Smith and Kid Rock and everybody else around this country that's doing this to these people. I want to see conservatives angry. I want to see conservatives calling for Kid Rock to be arrested for the same charges that Judge Hannah Dugan was charged with. Kid Rock may not have been present. He may not have given the order. But again, as the owner or co-owner, you share that liability. You should be aware of everything happening in your restaurant, and if you're not, that's no excuse. It just makes you a bad owner. These people should be criminally charged, but not the migrants, the managers, and the owners.
It shouldn't be obvious. I mean, it should be obvious, I'm sorry. It should be obvious that the reason why nothing has moved against Kid Rock here is because Kid Rock supported Trump, okay? And I think that he's been given a little dispensation here, as it were, to basically get away with what he's doing, even though they wouldn't give the same dispensation to Judge Dugan, okay, for trying to help somebody get out of her courtroom without getting picked up by ICE, okay? I mean, what the fuck is wrong with that? Jesus. But no, they came down hard on that judge. But with Kid Rock, and it's public knowledge that he's closing it down because of it, and he said it, nobody's over there doing anything, and it's like, can they be any more obvious about being hypocritical? Like, well, if you buttered Trump's ass, then they won't touch you. Really? That's all I got to do? I just gotta kiss Trump's butt, and then ICE will go away? Okay, I mean, think about that for a minute. Steve Smith, yeah, that's the guy that kind of works for Kid Rock. But yes, they have supported Trump, and I suppose Trump already knows about the fact that he's hired illegals, okay? But there's a lot of companies. There's a lot of companies in this country that have, and because they have, and Trump doesn't like it that illegals are here. Why haven't they gone after any of those businesses? Let me say, California, they got vineyards, right? I'm sure that they've hired illegals there to pick the vines and stuff, right, to make their wine. Have they gone after them for aiding and abetting? I guess that's the way ICE would look at it. I mean, that's what sort of why they went after that judge, is that she helped one elude ICE. So if the companies that have hired illegals are telling them to go home, isn't that the same thing as what the judge had done? So why hasn't ICE knocked on their doors yet and said, you're under arrest? Well, I think, a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's because of these businesses that Trump gets these big donations and shit like that. And if you start coming down on the people feeding you, supplying you money, not just for you or for your whole goddamn party, you don't bite the hand that feeds you, basically. And so, like I said, it goes back to, if you kiss his ass, he will return the favor, okay, and keep you out of trouble. So, it's a very bizarre situation, but not really unexpected. All right, it's really not a surprising thing. It is odd because this is happening. It's never happened like this before in our government doing shit like this. But these businesses that have been hiring illegals, like the guy said, are breaking the law. And they have been for years, but the government has overlooked that. Never said anything to these companies that have hired illegals, okay? But, you know, we've never had any trouble with them either. As far as I know, the most of them come here, do their work, and then when it's time to go, they go. You know? So, even though it's illegal, per se, it's not like something that's been a major thorn in our backside, like, you know, school shootings and shit like that have been going on, okay? But we have, you know, this perception now to go after illegals only because Trump brought it up, only because he's been harping on it, and only because MAGA has been following suit and echoing everything he says, okay? That's the only reason why all of a sudden now it's a problem, you know? Before him, before MAGA, all that, say, nobody cared that there was illegals in this country, you know, doing jobs that the rest of Americans wouldn't want, okay? And like you said, they have been essential workers in this country, okay? They've kept prices down because they'll work for less, all right? And I know it's a kind of a sad thing to say, because we don't like to see anyone mistreated. At least I don't like to see anyone mistreated or used, okay? People should get paid for the work they do with a fair wage, okay? But oftentimes these people are given less than they should be getting. How they live in this country like that, I don't know. To be honest, I really don't understand how they can come here and get shafted like that and stay for months at a time. But that's what happens to them. They come here and they're abused by the people that hire them. But they put up with it because they need the money. And they're afraid to report it to the police because, hey, if they go to the police and they say they're illegal and, you know, yada, yada, they're not even going to look at the, you know, the fact that they're being mistreated. They're just going to deport them, you know, and that's that. So these people are really, they come here, you know, risking deportation at every turn. And they're taught to put up with our bullshit over here. And they have no choice but to take it. And, you know, and it's sad that that's kind of it is, but, you know, it's slavery in silence, kind of, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's really a nasty reality that's been going on in America. And maybe it's something that we should have addressed about that here a long time ago, but not dealt with in the manner that Trump's dealing with it. All right, obviously that his idea is the worst idea. That his idea, you know, avoiding due process and all that shit, that's unconstitutional. That in itself is illegal. So two wrongs don't make a right here. So maybe that's something that we should have dealt with in this country years and years ago. You know, about, you know, hey, if these people are going to work in the United States, they are going to earn the same fucking wages everybody else is getting here, okay? We don't pay any less than what's federally permitted here. You know, maybe we should have done something like that. So that way these people would get paid exactly what any other American would get paid if they had to do the same fucking job. You know. But yeah, I realize it would make everything more expensive. True. But you know what? Higher wages. You know what? No inflation. You know, stop the inflation. Lower the prices. You know, if you actually lower prices, you actually make more people buy things because they can afford it. So you make up for what you're not getting with the, you know what I'm saying? That's math. It's all fucking math. But look, that's what it is that, you know, if we started to treat people more fairly in this country, then maybe, you know, things wouldn't have been such a, you know, pain in some people's butts that we have illegals here. It's never been a pain in my butt that they've been here. Christ, I mean, I live in a state where they used to come up here all the time. All right? And they never cause any fucking problems. But some people, you know, like I said, if they ain't white, it's an abomination in their eyes, you know. That's sad, but that's the way some people think, you know. But, you know, we don't hear any Republicans complaining about the companies that have hired immigrants and are probably protecting them if they haven't, you know, already had them leave to go home, if they're still up here, you know what I'm saying? So this goal here that Trump has of 20 million people, which I've said many times, because that was the number he pulled out of his ass, okay? When there really isn't 20 million illegals in this country, never has been, okay? It's been like less, it's been always hovering around just above 9 million to 11 million, okay? But not 20. It's never been 20. But that's the number he chose. And so ICE has to meet that quota. And that means they're going to round up anybody, whether they're criminals or not, because they have a mandate that, you know, that Trump gave them, 20 million. And they're going to do it. If it means breaking the law to do it, they are going to do it. And I can't imagine how ICE, you know, is comfortable with that. Okay? I can't imagine how these people are comfortable with making violations of our laws to do something they have to know is wrong. Okay? These people aren't just random folks you pick up off the street and say, okay, well, you've been deputized as an ICE agent. Okay? They have to know the fucking law too. They have to. And if they know the law, then they know they're breaking it. And if they know they're breaking it and they're still doing it, then that makes them complicit. That makes them part of the cabal or the gangster party that's in the White House. Okay, they're part of the fucking problem. They're aiding and abetting. And they should be charged for that. Maybe one day they will. I mean, I don't know when that'll happen, but I think, you know, everyone involved in this and has been covering Trump's butt and defending him for breaking the law, they're all going to have to be held accountable for this, okay? I realize that, hey, look, we could have held Trump accountable for a lot of things and he wouldn't be president today if we'd have followed through on it. That's true. That is true. But are we going to learn from that, or are we going to just continue that fucking problem? Because, look, you see where we are now because we didn't push to have Trump imprisoned or to keep him from running for president because he does not qualify, or he did not, okay? We didn't push for that. And so here we are, 2025, okay? And look where our country is. You see what happens when you don't do what you're supposed to do? You see what happens? Bad things happen. And so, if we don't hold these people in Trump's cabinet responsible for the shit that they're doing, what's going to happen after that? How bad do you want to see things get? Somebody's head's got to roll for this. Somebody's head. Why should it be ours? Why should we be the one to pay for the mistakes? Okay? Because when we don't do anything, we're just willingly taking whatever shit lands on our heads. I'm sick of having shit on my head, okay? And I'm hoping you are too, because frankly, you know, it stinks. You know, it really does. Because we all had better days in our country. We all have experienced better times. Don't you want to get back to that? Don't you want to go back to those better days, okay? Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but they were sure a hell of a lot better than they are now, and it's going to get worse. So, look, just think about your kids. If you have kids, think about them. What kind of a country are you going to leave to them if you're just not going to, you know, get active and start educating people about holding others accountable for their things that they do wrong? I mean, we insist on it. When we go to court, somebody murders one of our family members. We insist that they get punished, you know, for that crime. Where is that energy now? Yeah, Trump's not a family member, but he is an American, all right? And his crimes are hurting all of us. It'd be like if one of your family members was destroying everything in your house and stuff. I mean, Jesus Christ, you're going to just sit there and let them burn the fucking place down, or you're going to do something to stop them? You know, we're all responsible here. He's an American who's doing criminality. We went after mob bosses for that. We put serial killers away for doing bad shit. I mean, we always insist that the bad people are held accountable, but all of a sudden now, when we have one of the criminals in the highest office of the land, you know, I find it very ironic. Okay, we went and troubled ourselves a long time ago to set up a justice system that was rooted in the Magna Carta, rooted in that, and we built on top of that because we thought it was fair. And even in the Magna Carta, it also said in there too that kings are not above the law. Okay, believe it or not, you know, you ought to read it because it does spell out that. But we built a justice system on top of that idea. Okay, and we wanted it to be fair. We wanted it to be blind. Okay, and we have done a very poor job of upholding that philosophy in this country here. Okay, at least in my lifetime anyway. I don't know, you know, about before, but we haven't got a lot to show for it. And you know, I just think that, you know, it's long past due that we stand up for our courts here and stand up for what's just. All right, if there's ever going to be a house cleaning in Washington D.C., it's going to have to start with the courts. It's going to have to start with holding people accountable. It's going to have to start with defending our rights. It's going to have to start with holding people in power accountable for when they do wrong. Okay, we have to. And we can't just walk away and get all upset and say, oh, it's not going to work. Okay, it can work, you know, if we are focused and intent on seeing it work. You realize, you know, a judge's opinions can be influenced by the crowds outside his fucking courthouse. And, you know, when our voices are loud and we're out there with our signs and our, you know, and our loudness and everything, it gets noticed. Okay, it does. It gets noticed. And that's what we need to be, is noticed. They need to know from us what's important, what needs to happen. Okay, and I really think that, you know, we can turn it around. We can turn it around if we're committed to it. If we're committed. It's more than just voting somebody out. It's also about keeping, you know, a watchful eye over the people that we vote in office. Okay, just because you got what you wanted, whoever it is you voted for, doesn't mean, okay, now I can go home, go to sleep, and not have to worry about it. No. You have to watch what they're doing. When they screw up, you got to tell them you screwed up. You can love your country and still get mad about it. It's because if you love your country, then you'll take the steps you need to do to fix it when it's wrong. So, you know, you don't give up on it. You take the time to do the work. And unfortunately, right now, the work is really on all of us, because right now our houses are fucked up and the courts are not all working for us. So it's all been dumped on our laps, the people. And maybe that's by design. Okay? Maybe that's what's supposed to happen when your country has been corrupted for so long. That maybe now it's come time for us to set it straight. Because you can't have a broken system fix itself. You know, there's no logic to that. If the system's broken, it cannot fix itself. And the system is broken. And so we have to fix it. We have to fix it. We have to use whatever tools that are given to us to be able to fix it. All right? To put it back the way it should be. Why? Because we love our country. All right? We love our country. It's not that we hate it. Okay, MAGA hates our country. That's why they can sit back and drink their tulips and all that and stuff and watch it burn while Trump's doing all the stupid things. Okay, they don't care, so they don't love America. All right, they're not in this to make it better. They're in here just to get one up on the Democrats, whatever, you know. But the rest of us do care about the country, and we have to show MAGA that we do care about it. And whether they like it or not, we're helping them too. They just don't realize it. We're helping their asses too. So when we Democrats are doing better, so will they. All right? And then they won't have anything to complain about. Maybe they'll feel better about their country if they see things going their way more. But that's not going to happen if they stand in our way. So we have to push them away so that way we can get things better. You know? I don't know how, you know, how simpler terms I can use here to explain that, but it should be obvious. You know? You would think it would be, wouldn't you? I mean, you'd think that, what I'm telling people here today, right now, would be, clear as crystal. But no, there's people out there that just ain't hearing it. They're not gonna stand and watch it. They ain't gonna listen to me. And that's part of one of the many things. Part of the problem here is that people can be so obsessed with their position that they simply refuse to believe or even cogitate that they might be wrong. Okay, they ain't gonna do it. Anyway, that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great upcoming work week. So subscribe, comment, share. Keep your ears open for health-related issues. And, help each other out in your neighborhoods. And just do good. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.